Let's add a few other things down here. We can probably add these things right here. Those pieces are kind of prominent, I think. We should do that. And also, I like this piece here, this bar across here, and these pieces here. I think those are nice details. Let's go ahead and work on those. So for these pieces here, let's see if we can see them in the front view at all. Not really. No, we can't. We can see that main bar right up front here, and that's good. That will serve us well, but for these pieces, we're going to have to just kind of wing it, I'm afraid. But that happens. Let's pull this plate out. It looks like these things insert between that axle and that plate. So let's maybe pull this plate out some like that to give us some room. And then what I think I'll do is just create a cube. And let's bring it up and kind of put it in place so we can begin extruding these out. Something like this. We'll get it pretty small. And maybe I'll scale it in the Y with S and Y and kind of get that about that size and then maybe expand that out just a bit. All right, so if we go back to that front view, it looks like we're going to insert it just right here on the very edge, right? It looks like it's right aligned with the edge there. So let's get this maybe right in here. Looks like I'll have to pull it back a bit. There we go. In fact, it looks like I may have pulled that plate out a little bit too much. Let's bring this back and put it about in here, and then let's take that plate and slide it back right into there. Okay. So now if we tab into edit mode for this guy and grab that face on top, now let's think about how this should look. It appears like it goes up and then curves outward. So let's give that a try. Let's just kind of bring this up to here, let's say. Maybe extrude it, and I'm going to just bring it up with the G key and maybe rotate it just a bit. And let's scale it out. I don't want to make it any thicker in the Y, but I do want to scale it in the X a bit, I believe. S and X. Let's scale that out a bit. Then let's hit extrude, and I'll hit the G key and move this out like this. And then let's scale it out in the X again. And then let's extrude one more time. Let's pull it up into here. Let's scale in the X. The only thing I don't like about it is that I feel like that edge should be a little bit straighter. So let's just pull these out just a bit like this. Something like that. There we go. So I think that's kind of what we want in there. How far up that should go is anybody's guess. We could probably take this whole piece and move it down a little bit more to kind of fill in this area here. And we could bring these up to meet that. So let's try that. I will just grab this one edge and bring it in just a bit. All right, so we've got that in place. Let's now duplicate it, Shift-D, Enter, and let's mirror it. I want to mirror it in the X-axis, so Control-M, X, and Enter, and then I just want to slide this over and get it in the same place over on the other side here like this. All right, so we have those in place. Let's also work on this bar here. I think that's probably pretty prominent in terms of everything that's going on here. It also looks to me like there's more going on down in here, like beyond these things that we just created. So I'm not sure if we want to extrude down from here to kind of fill in. That might be a good thing to try. Let's at least try it and see. And as I said, this whole part of building this area down underneath the vehicle is something that you're just going to have to work with and test and try out and see what works. So let's tab into here and let me turn on this. There we go. So we can see the edit cage on the other side. And let's maybe put this right around in here and grab this, and I think we can just extrude down like this. Let's try this. Yeah, that kind of fills that area in a little bit better, I think. It also looks like there's, as I said, there's some parts back here that we could maybe take this and just move them back. Let's duplicate and hit Y and move them back like that. And that may work out okay like that. Well, let's try that. Let's see. Now this bar here, let's go ahead and create a cylinder here. And we probably don't need 32. Let's go with 12. And I'll put a triangle fan on the caps. Let's turn it around the Y, RY90. And let's shrink it down and put this in place here. So it looks like it's right in here. I'll shrink that down. Let's extend it out in the X. And where are we going to go with it? Let's, it looks like maybe out to here. You can see it maybe here. Let's go out to about right here. And then we ought to grab it and move it forward. Let's do that. There it is. Move this forward. And where do we move it forward to? Well, that's a good question. It looks like it's just beneath these pieces here. So maybe I could move it up right into here, let's say. Let's try that. We could smooth it. We could turn on auto smooth. Increase that just a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now these things. What are we going to do with these? It looks like these are a couple of cylinders connected together with bridge edge loop. I think that's what it looks like. Let's give this a try. So before we do anything, let's clean up a bit here because I want to hide everything away. Let's take this guy, this edge that we used for the spring. Let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need that. And out of all of this, look at all of this. We could probably hide all of this away. I'm going to press the B key and border select all of these parts here. I don't need that. Yeah, let's just grab all of these and drag them up into the vehicle main right up here. There we go. And so now we could hide these away. Let's go ahead and click on these and hide all that away. There we go. Now for those cylinders, let's go ahead and create a cylinder here. We don't need anything for the cap fill. We could scale it down in the Z with S and Z. Maybe about like this. And then we need to create this smaller one here. Right here. So let's press Shift D and X and let's move this forward. Now I want to scale this down some. Let me go to the wireframe. I want to scale this down, but I do not want to scale it in the Z. So what I should do is press S, Shift Z to turn off the Z axis. And now if we scale it in like this, we get that. So maybe something like this. Those look a little bit too thick. Let's scale them down like that. Now let's join them together. Control J to make them one object. Tab into edit mode. Now what I think I should do is let's insert two edge loops. And then I'm going to hit S and Z and scale them in the Z like this. And the same thing over here. S and Z and scale them up like this. So they're about the same width on each one. Then I want to grab these faces here and these faces here. And I want to extrude them. I'll hit E and I'll hit Enter. And then I want to scale them out without scaling in the Z again. So I'll hit S, Shift Z, and now we scale out in just the X and the Y, like that. Let's try that. Let's do the same thing over here. Extrude, S, Shift Z, and I'm just going to scale that out like this. Okay. Now what we could do, let's give this a try. We could select, say, 4 faces over here, 4 faces over here, and we could bridge edge loops. Let's give this a try. I will press Control E, bridge edge loops. Let's do that down here as well. Like this. And, whoops, let's grab 4 faces down here. Let's bridge edge loops, Control E, bridge edge loops. Okay. Now let's grab these edges right here, like this, and let's scale them out in the Y. So S and Y. Bring those out like that. Let's try that. Okay, so we've got that now. The last thing we need, I think we need to fill in these pieces, don't we? We need to go to Edge Mode and Alt-click and Alt-Shift-click that. Control E, bridge edge loops. Same thing over here. And I better do them down here too, just to clean them up. And lastly, I like the little edge around here. So what I could do is maybe take this edge here. I'm going to add an edge loop right around here. And I'm going to select those faces and just extrude straight up like that. There we go. So I've got that little bit of an edge there on the top. Okay, so now let's go ahead and select it and we'll smooth it here. We'll turn on auto smooth and we'll drag up a bit, see where it smooths out a bit. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Also, I'm going to move the pivot point into the 3D cursor there. Let's go ahead and do that. So that pivot point is there for the object. Let's bring everything back. Let's bring it forward. We need to spin it in 2 directions. So let's spin it in the X, RX90. And then we'll spin it in the Z, RZ90. Oh, let's go the other way. RZ-90, like that. And let's scale it down. And then what we can do is come over here and select this one point right in here. There we go. And move that cursor to it with Shift S2. Then I can grab this and I can pop this object to that 3D cursor. So let's press Shift S 8. And there it is. Now we can scale this down quite a bit. I could even move it out some, I think. Let's go ahead and move it out and put it right up against there. There we go. And then we could rotate it down just a bit. So RX, and I'll just rotate it down like this. I'll move that cursor back to the center, and then we can take this and duplicate it and mirror it. So Shift-D, Enter, Control-M, X, and let's move it over here and put it in place over here. So in the next video, let's go ahead and work on adding some more details up here around the front axle.